Here we go. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back. Today we have with us a very special guest. It is Minister Alma Thomas. And Alma Collins Thomas is a multifaceted professional with a broad spectrum of skills and achievements. She holds the titles of an ordained minister, educator, motivational speaker, a playwright, and an author. Wow. Alma is a holder of two Bachelor of Science degrees, one in Human Services with a focus on children and families, and another in Christian Studies. In addition, she impacts her knowledge as a Bible school teacher. Alma has been a co-author of several books, including Love, Marriage, and Divorce, and is active member of Sisters with Purpose. She is also the author of two debut books, Dream Killers and From the Waiting Room to the Recovering Room. Alma is also a single mother of two children, Sabrina and Tysean?
I,
Tysean? Okay. Tragically, Tysean passed away in 2009, an, leaving a indelible mark. Despite facing adversity, Alma is a stroke survivor, having experienced a debilitating stroke 2 years ago. Despite her circumstances, she continues to motivate and inspire others from her hospital bed. And I am super excited to talk to you today. I know it's been a long time, Alma. I think we connected somehow back, I want to say like March, and
uh,
it's been 9 or 10 months, and I keep seeing your name popping up in all different places. And I am super excited to have you here today. So tell the audience a little bit about you.
okay. I'm a single mother. I have a 22-year-old daughter. I'm an author. I'm a motivational speaker. Um, Twice a month, I host a podcast called Inspirational Moments with Prophetess T, and I am your host. I'm Prophetess T. Um, I love children. I love women. Working with women and empowering them and motivating them. If you notice, I'm laying down now.
I did notice that. Yes.
And I'm not laying down because I was taking a nap before I got on this podcast. I'm laying down because I had a stroke in 2021 that affected my whole right side. So I do these I do these podcasts from my bed because I want to inspire and motivate people that no matter what you went through, you don't have to give up. You don't have to throw in the towel.
Well, I love that because, yeah, I know I read your little thing before. And then when I saw the stroke and then I saw you laying down, I was like, put two and two together. And yes, what an inspiring story to just be able to speak and go out and do podcasts. And I know you're busy because I see your name all over the place. So this just happened 3 years ago. So how long did it take you to kind of bounce back? I mean, were you completely paralyzed on one side?
Yes. I spent 2 years in a rehab, and I came home and I couldn't move, but I've gotten a little movement back on my right side.
Okay, well, good. Progress, one day at a time, right?
One time.
So I mean, and your story is really, and this is why I had you on the podcast because we like to give stories of hope and healing and just motivation to tell you of resiliency to show people that, it can knock you down, but it can't keep you down. And I know you also lost your son, and that was another one. Is some people just never bounce back from that. Tell us about, what you did to get past that or to, heal from that.
2009, my son passed away from a massive heart attack. And he passed away on February 13th, 2009. And on April 17th, 2009, was his first birthday in heaven. And I had decided not that I wanted to be unalive, but I was going to unalive myself because I wanted to spend my son's birthday with him. I woke up that morning and I was like, I wonder if grandma is singing happy birthday to him. I wonder are the angels celebrating his birthday? And then I said, nobody can celebrate his birthday like his mom can. And I took a whole bottle of my blood pressure pills and I poured them in my hand. And the reason why I know that I still have a purpose on this earth is because I heard a still quiet voice say, if you do it, you'll never see him again.
Mm.
And I put the pills back in the bottle. And if you know anything about the African American community and the African American church, mental health is taboo. You can talk about having diabetes, you can talk about having high blood pressure, but don't talk about being depressed. Don't talk about being anxious because then you have a spirit or what happens in this house stays in this house. We don't tell our business to other people. And I had to realize that it wasn't either Jesus or my mental health. That Jesus and my mental health, just like Jesus and my physical health, go hand in hand. That my mental health is just as important. And I went to see the EAP, the mental health piece of my job, and I was able to talk to someone. And even though I knew the stages of grief because I minored in psychology in college, but it's a difference between reading a book and where the stages of grief is so nicely lined up, then going through it. Because you find yourself when you're going through it that you fluctuate. You might be in denial today and acceptance tomorrow, and back to denial again the next day.
Oh, absolutely. And there's no, I say that with anything mental health related or healing related, recovery related, it's not linear. There's no like A to Z path. So like
Right,
you said, you can read all the books in the world, but it doesn't prepare you for when you get there. And there are setbacks in every form of it.
right,
And people get so frustrated with themselves sometimes, and it's a natural part of it. Setbacks, even when you're in recovery from an addiction, a setback is a normal part of it. It's expected. It's how you grow, it's how you learn, it's how you go two steps forward again. So how old was your son, you said?
18.
18. Okay. And it was sudden?
Yes, because he had got sick before and he spent a while in the hospital and then he came home and he graduated and did everything that he wanted to do, and then one night he just wasn't feeling well, and by the time we made it to the hospital he was gone.
Oh, yeah, devastating. And no, it doesn't matter how, like you said, how many books you read, how many people you talk to. Nobody is ever prepared to lose a child.
Right,
Never. They can glorify it. They can do, he's in the better place. They can say anything they want, and nothing is ready to prepare you for that. And we actually, and it's funny that you mentioned the part about the taboo as far as talking about, in your culture, talking about the mental health issues. We had a girl on our summit who has actually been diagnosed as having multiple personalities. And it was, she struggled with it her entire life because there was no going to counseling, there was no getting help, it was like you said, the family secret, the family shame, and they didn't talk about it. And now she's in her 30s, and it would have been nice, she said, to have been able to deal with this or have some help or some support years ago. She's like, but it's not in our culture, it's just not. She did a talk, I'll actually put the links in the show note in case anybody wants to grab that, because that was her whole talk, was about the stigma behind, African American communities just not reaching out for any kind of mental health support.
no, and it was worse when my son passed away. Now you get a little glimpse of coming out of that stereotype that everything is a secret. You sweep everything under the rug and just act. You put a band-aid on everything and act like it's not happening. But I had to make a choice. I was like, I don't care what people say about me. Call me crazy, whatever you want to, but I need to get help because I'm having thoughts. Just like you said, people would come up to me and say, at least he's in a better place. And, being a pastor, you realize that, but you don't want to accept it at that moment that they're telling you. So you're thinking in your mind when they're telling you at least he's in a better place. You're like, okay, let your little Johnny go to the better place, and tomorrow you tell me if the better place is better than his bedroom, better than a dinner table. You tell me, and then people would say, my 78-year-old grandfather suffered a heart attack and he survived. And I'm thinking in my mind, instead of rejoicing with them, oh, glad grandpa came through, I'm mad. I'm like, okay, now why did grandpa survive, but my 18-year-old didn't? And I know those were not healthy thoughts. So I had, I had to seek help, and it didn't matter the stereotypes um that was gonna come out of it, but I tell my story, um, you know, to let people know and inspire and motivate people that don't allow no one to put you in a box and identify you. If you need help, you need help. I needed to learn what my triggers was, and it was just like simple things would trigger me, like going to somebody's graduation and knowing I would never see my son graduate, and excuse me, and I would be so upset, and I'm thinking like, why did I go? Like I know that the last time I went to someone's graduation, I was triggered and was crying hysterically through the whole ceremony, and people are looking at me like, this is a joyous occasion. Why is this woman bawling and screaming out the death cry?
But
And
you had to. But you had absolutely had to. And it was probably,
but it's better for me not to go. To let my friend know that I'll give a gift, you know, I talk to you after, but the actual ceremony triggers me, and I'm no longer doing stuff to make other people happy. I have to deal with this void in my life. I have to deal with the chain being broken. So I got to do what's best for me.
absolutely. So tell me when you finally started going to the therapy, like what kind of different things do you think for people that are out there that may have lost a child or lost a husband or whatever it is, like what are some of the first steps you took to try to alleviate some of the pain?
Well, the first step that I took was going and realizing that I needed help. I wasn't going to be able to do this by myself. No matter how strong people thought I was silently dying inside while they were saying, "You're so strong." I never could have stood at a cemetery and watched them bury my child, but they didn't realize I wasn't strong, that I was silently dying inside. And then once I started going to therapy, I started doing like I started a scholarship in his honor. And
Mm,
we've given out 17 scholarships to African American males who've been accepted to college because my son loved education. So to keep his legacy alive, I established a scholarship. Um, on days that I would usually be sad and crying, I think about a happy memory that I had of him, a joke that he would tell, or a song he would sing, or a saying he would say. And now I can make it through those trigger days.
right. And the trigger days are very normal with anything. It's going to happen. I know people will say, well, I used to have, this childhood trauma, or I had this happen when I was a kid and I used to get triggered, but I don't anymore. And your mind is a very complex thing. So for the people out there that are like, wow, there's a complete end to them, there may never be. But
Right,
you learn ways to deal with the triggers and
right,
to calm your mind and to distract your mind and to sit with the pains. I mean, a lot of times that's what it takes, is like you said, that bawling could have been one of the best things for you, just to get it out of your system, because we all know what happens when you keep it in your system.
right.
It wreaks havoc. Absolutely. So talk about so what were you doing like job wise and everything before your stroke?
Before my stroke, I was a preschool teacher, so I
Okay.
teach 3 and 4 year olds.
Oh, very cool. Okay. And then what do your books and everything, did they came afterwards? Did you dictate them to someone? And
Well, two of my books, from the waiting room to the recovery room and Dream Killers, I wrote before my stroke.
okay.
After I had my stroke, I wrote 4 more books.
Oh, wow.
And my right side is my dominant side, I said. But I was able to write 4 more books with this one finger on this telephone. I typed my books and I
Wow.
um to the uh because when in April 2021, April 23rd, a matter of fact, is when I realized that April 24th was not promised to me and that the cemetery is full of failed visions, un- undone dreams. So
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'm not going to die with my purpose inside of me. And I learned how to embrace the things that I can still do and accept the things that I can no longer do. People that had a stroke as severe as I did, their cognitive skills were affected, their speech skills were affected. My cognitive skills were never affected, and my speech skills were the first to come back.
Nice. And there was a reason for that. There was
And
a plan for that, for sure.
I was still, um, since January 2024. Let me back up a little. 20 years ago, it was prophesied to me that I wasn't just gonna be local, I was gonna be global. And then all the things that you read about happened. My son died. I had a fire in my complex. My apartment didn't burn, but they were all condemned. And I found myself homeless for a while. I got married, thought I was doing everything right, found out that he was a substance abuser and he was in denial that he had a problem. And then in 2021, I suffered a stroke. So being global was put on the back burner because my idea of being global was that, I was gonna fly all over the world to Africa, to India, and all these different places, spreading the good news, spreading the gospel. So then, about 2 years ago, after I had my stroke, um, my apostle, before he died, told me, he named me ambassador. He said, "You are an ambassador. You're not just gonna be local, but you're gonna be global." Now, at this point, I'm thinking, okay, I know God has promised me that He's gonna heal me. So once He heals me, then I'm gonna go out to the world. Getting old now. I'm already 60 years old. And I'm like, okay, God, how are you gonna do this? So then I looked on my task, and from January 2024 to January of 2025, I have been on over 400 podcasts, seminars, and virtual conferences. And
400?
I'm not counting my two podcasts that I do a month. And
Wow.
when I looked at it, they were in Africa, they were in India,
Mm-hmm.
in England, they were in Canada. And I said, God, you're amazing. I said, right in the place that I thought it was over, right in the place that wanted me to throw in the towel, that is the place that you have used me greatly, right here from my bed, to motivate and inspire people that no matter what you're going through, you can soar above your circumstances, that God still has a plan and a purpose for our life. It's like if you go on a trip and you miss your turn, you don't turn off the road and sit at the turn and say, "Well, I missed my turn. I'm not gonna drive any further." No, they have these unique things now called GPS system, and you your destination into your GPS system, and you may not make it the way you plan. You may not go the way that you plan to go. It might be detours on the way. You may have to make some U turns on the way, but you will still make it to your destination. And that's what I feel that in my life, I've had some curveballs balls thrown at me. I compare my life to that clown at the carnival. You know that carnival that you throw the ball at it really hard and it goes all the way down. And just before you're able to claim your grand prize, you're looking at that big teddy bear, and all of a sudden that clown bounces back up again. Well, they put something in that clown that makes it bounce back. Well, God has placed something in me that after I lost my son, after I was homeless, after I was divorced, after I had a massive stroke, that I bounced back from each and every one of them. It's your current situation is not your final destination. Nobody can close the book on your life until they close that plaster down on you and there's no more life. As long as you have life in you, you can reach for your dream. You don't have to give up. I could have had a pity party. I
Mm-hmm.
laid here. I had every excuse. I had every excuse. It was good excuses. I can't move. I can't walk. Why would I show up? Like people have, people on the internet, social media, they're mean. So they're saying like, why are you showing up like that? Why are you not showing up? And my answer to them is, why are you not showing up? You have two legs and two arms, and you can do what God has purpose for you to do. Why are you not showing up?
Very well said. Absolutely very well said. And I'm just trying to picture 400 presentations online in 1 year. And I know just my one little podcast is reaching, 31 countries. So you take 300 of those that are you're reaching hundreds and hundreds of countries. I mean, that's global. That's huge and global. And proud of you. Like you must be so proud. And do you have family? Do you have family around or?
Yes, my as a matter of fact, my daughter is my caregiver and my cousin. So and my mom and my sister live right across the street from me. So I do have family support system.
Well, you are blessed and you have left them a legacy, that's for sure. So they can carry that on. Hopefully, you're instilling all of these values and these beliefs, which so many people don't have. When you lose that hope and that focus and that just belief that it can be better, it, it's, I mean, you're a perfect example of the resiliency and of the human spirit. I
Right, when you
love it.
throw in the towel, when you make excuses, when you have a pity party, then I would be laying here miserable. But when I motivate and inspire people, it does something for me. My living is not in vain. My stroke wasn't for me, but it was for someone else. They may not be going through a stroke, but they're going through something. They had some dark chapters in their life. They had some dark days in their life. And I just want you to know that you can make it through the dark days. And I know you said that you like for to leave some wisdom. Well, what I'm gonna leave is, do you remember when you were a child and somebody would dare you to do something and you would do it, and your parents would say to you, why did you do that? And you said, because so and so dared me. And your parents said, well, they dared you to jump off the roof, would you? Well, on today, I'm double dog daring your audience to dream again, to reach deep inside of them, to the dreams that they rocked to sleep, the things they thought they could never have, and awaken the dream in you. If you want to write that book, write that book. If you want to start that business, start that business. If you want to go back to school, go back to school. Whatever it is that you want to do, you're not too old to do it. You don't have any excuses not to do it, because if I'm writing books and I'm taking my master's in divinity, right here from my bed. Just imagine what you can do on with two legs and two arms.
Amen. Absolutely. I love that message. Yeah, I was going to ask you to leave with us with something, but I feel like you've left us with something for the last 25 minutes. Like everything you've said has been very inspirational, and I love that message. Oh my goodness. I just don't, I want to kind of like stop it there and let that sink in. Dream that dream, guys. Think just whatever it is, don't bury it. Don't stop reaching for it. I mean, just live it and know that you can live it. I mean, we're here and we've got a God that is watching out for us for sure. So, Alma, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me on your platform and allowing me to be transparent and share with your audience. Like I said, if I can inspire and motivate one person a day, then my living is not in vain.
Amen. You got it. So for the people out there listening, you just heard the ultimate story of resilience and hope and healing and having a purpose and go out and do it. It's 2025 now. Just put everything else behind you and just go do it. And we will see you next week.